Two new aspects tonight in the debate over Don't Ask, Don't Tell. John McCain has gone all loose cannon over it, but on our third story at this hour, breaking news from the office of Republican Senator Saxby Chambliss of Georgia. Confirmation that a gay slur posted on a website following yesterday's Senate vote originated from that office. Chambliss's office claiming responsibility for a comment posted on the gay issues blog, Joe My God, all blank must die. The comment came from someone identifying himself as Jimmy. Bloggers quickly noticed that Jimmy had a Senate IP address. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Chambliss's office has not determined exactly who's behind the slur. It's turned the matter over to the Senate Sergeant at Arms. Meanwhile, Senator John McCain is claiming the military has never actively sought to dismiss any gay personnel since Don't Ask, Don't Tell was implemented, even though there are more than 1,000 documented cases. And one such case testified in front of Senator McCain. McCain, alongside Lindsey Graham, answered questions from reporters, among them Carrie Elveld of The Advocate and Metro Weekly's Chris Geidner.
You do not go out and seek, regulations are, you do not go out and seek to find out someone's sexual orientation.
But Senator, that's
you
not
do
the
not. That is the fact. That is the fact. I mean, I know the military very well, and I know what's being done. And what is being done is that they're not seeking out people who are gay. And I don't care what you say. I know it's a fact.
That's not what I say.
I don't care what you say, and I don't care what others say. I've seen it in action. I've seen it in action. I have sons in the military. I know the military very well. So they're not telling you the truth.
So Senator, just to make sure,
we do not go out and seek out, find out whether someone, no one goes out to see whether someone is,
private emails are not being searched.
We do not go out and see if someone is gay or not. We do not go out and find out whether someone is gay or not. I don't know if they are or not. I know they don't go out and
There's documented cases.
They do not. They do not. They do not. You can say that they are. You can say that they are. It's not true.
I'd like to see
that. Yeah, I'd like to.
That is the case of Mike Almy, Senator.
Bring him to the office.
Bring him to our office. It is not the policy. It is not the policy.
But it is the case that it's happening, Senator.
It is not the policy. It's not the policy. It's not the policy. It's not the policy. You can say that it is the policy, sir, if you choose to. It's not the policy. I'll be glad to get that to you in writing.
Major Mike Almy, a 13-year veteran of Air Force service, was discharged following the very thing McCain claims to not be happening in the military. Here is his testimony in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee back in March to Senator McCain.
The commander in Iraq, during the height of the insurgency, ordered a search of my personal emails solely to determine if I had violated Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and to gather whatever evidence could be used against me. Even as my commander was relieving me of my duties, he assured me that this was in no way a reflection of my performance or my abilities as an officer.
Time now to call in syndicated columnist and author of The Commitment, Love, Sex, Marriage, and My Family, Dan Savage. Dan, thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, Keith.
McCain's apoplexy in a moment, but this comes on a day when Saxby Chambliss voted to keep patriotic Americans from fighting for their country, and it turns out that this, as blunt a homophobic comment as could be posted anywhere, was posted out of Chambliss's office. Whoever wrote it, it came from that office. Will you expect that we're going to see outrage from the right about this?
Certainly not outrage from the right. I would hope you would see outrage from the right, but this is par for the course. This is what they believe. This is how they talk about us in private when they think no one's looking and they think no one's tech savvy enough to trace their hatred back to their office. But it's no surprise. I mean, Saxby Chambliss is a homophobe, and he employs homophobes, and this is, I'm sure, how they talk about gay and lesbian Americans who are serving in the military when they think it's no one but them in the room listening.
All right, well, let me ask the devil's advocate question here, because now Chambliss was the man who approved the slanderous campaign against a double amputee in Max Cleland, the senator in 2002, showed him in a split screen with bin Laden. Still, a Senate office is a big place with a lot of computers. Can you actually assign responsibility for this to Senator Chambliss?
Not to Senator Chambliss, but to the company he keeps. And Senator Chambliss, we know to be a homophobe from his voting record. We don't have to peer into his mind. We have seen the evidence of his homophobia and his hatred and his bigotry in his votes, and particularly in his vote this week to keep gay and lesbian Americans out of the military.
Well, at least they're all smart in the office, smart enough not to realize you could trace an IP address. Let me ask you about Senator McCain. Last night, Major Almy was on Rachel Maddow's show, and he said he was dumbfounded, was his word, by the McCain remarks. What's your reaction to them?
that his outburst had everything but get off my lawn. Props to Kerry Eleveld for committing an act of journalism in the presence of a U.S. senator and challenging McCain. He is not entitled to his own facts. You know, some of us are old enough to remember when Senator McCain condemned agents of intolerance on the left and the right, and it is sad and tragic and pathetic to see that he has become himself an agent of intolerance who hopes to get his cut on November 2nd.
In a strange way, though, does it help your cause when you see a John McCain launch into full-fledged fingers in the ears, pissy old man mode when it comes to don't ask, don't tell?
So long as he's called on it. You know, we have a media culture in this country where politicians are allowed to assert falsehoods, and then, you know, a lot of the lamestream media, if I may borrow a phrase, not MSNBC, which has trotted out the actual facts, won't challenge him on what we know to be true. And we know that McCain was incorrect or lying or deluded or senile, if I may, and he needs to be called on it, needs to be held to account. And MSNBC is doing just that, and God bless MSNBC.
And somewhere, by the way, for saying lamestream media, somewhere Sarah Palin's ears just, you know, sort of flapped out because she heard you say that, sharing the phrase with her. Very good. Author and columnist Dan Savage, as always. Great. Thanks, Dan.
Warning! The following two facts about two Republicans from Texas make absolutely no sense at all when taken in conjunction with one another. They cannot be reconciled, so please do not try. Fact number one about Senator John Cornyn and Congressman Pete Sessions is that they both have robust and illustrious anti-gay voting records. They both voted in favor of amending the Constitution to ban same-sex marriage. Congressman Sessions also voted yes on banning gay adoptions in Washington, D.C., because it's his business, and no on banning job discrimination based on sexual orientation. In their respective chambers, both men voted against the bills that would have paved the way for the repeal of Don't Ask, Sessions each have a 0% rating on gay rights from the Human Rights Campaign. And as is clear from their records, these guys have earned that 0. So that's fact number one about Congressman Pete Sessions and Senator John Cornyn. That's fact number one. Fact number two, incongruous and inexplicable fact number two, those two members of Congress are getting an award from the Log Cabin Republicans tonight from the Republican Gay Rights Organization. They are giving a gay rights award to two politicians who do not support gay rights. Why are the Log Cabin Republicans doing this? No idea. In what way does this advance the cause of gay rights? Hard to say. Actually, easy to say, it does not at all. That said, on the other hand, this same organization, the Log Cabin Republicans, filed the lawsuit that resulted in a strong ruling against the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy in California 2 weeks ago. And that ruling might offer the Obama administration the clearest path forward for getting rid of the military's gay ban. And that definitely would advance gay rights. The Obama Justice Department expected to decide by tomorrow whether or not they will appeal that judge's ruling or whether they won't, which could have the effect of simply killing the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy by means of a legal injunction. Joining us now is Kerry Eleveld. She's Washington correspondent for The Advocate magazine, who has been all over this story. Kerry, nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Great to be here.
What is it exactly that the Obama Justice Department has to do tomorrow in terms of this case? What are their options?
Well, I want to, first of all, preface this by saying I'm not a lawyer and I simply cover these cases. Yeah. But there's just a little bit of a difference in what you said. They don't actually have to appeal by tomorrow. But
what they state whether they are, right?
What they have to do is they have to submit their proposal for an order of what to do in this case. Now, the Log Cabin Republican lawyers submitted their order last week, and their order said, what we would like to see is for you, Judge Phillips, to issue an injunction nationwide on this on enforcement of this ban, of this policy, so that it cannot be enforced by the federal government at any time, at any place. And what the government will do tomorrow is submit their proposed order in response to that.
Okay.
And what they'll likely do, I mean, a betting person might think, is decide that, or ask her to limit the injunction, number one, so that it would only be limited to the plaintiffs in the case and not everyone, and might only be limited to the certain locales where they're from and not everywhere. And then on top of that, they'll probably ask her to stay the injunction so that they can buy some time. They actually have, my understanding is 60 days from the time that she signs that order to decide whether or not to appeal. So you're going to have parallel tracks. There's going to be this last-ditch effort on the political side to maybe get through the legislative repeal, which is really on its last leg. I mean, it's total life support at this point. And then on the judicial side, of course, you'll have this this thing sort of moving through, and the Justice Department deciding based on what her actual order is. They'll take their 60 days and probably push it back to the very end that they can and decide whether or not to actually appeal.
So people who are concerned about the Justice Department showing the Obama administration's commitment to repealing the policy shouldn't necessarily expect that trying to stop that injunction tomorrow means that they're definitely going to appeal the case and fight it all the way forward. They need to stop the injunction to buy themselves some time.
They are.
Yeah.
They want to buy themselves some time. I don't think they want to make any of these decisions before the midterms. Having said that, this administration has shown no interest in letting any of these decisions stand, right? They have pretty much shown an interest in defending almost every anti-gay law that's on the books. And I don't see any reason, based on what I'm seeing with my reporting, to think that this would be any different. But I would add one thing. After the legislatively it failed yesterday, what you did see this morning was a New York Times editorial, and you also saw members of Congress coming together to circulate a letter to push the administration not to appeal, and that is a new effort.
Carrie Eleveld, Washington correspondent for The Advocate magazine, thanks for joining us this evening. I imagine we will be talking to you again.
Thank you for having me.